Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I do want to speak about Marco Reus joining the MLS. We're also going to be speaking about Chucky Lozano moving to San Diego FC. And then lastly, we are going to be talking about Kevin De Bruyne as another reinforcement for San Diego FC. There's plenty to discuss for today's video. Expect a lot of superstars to come to the MLS in this upcoming summer. And the latest regarding any MLS transfers for this summer will be talked about in this YouTube channel. So if you guys are a USA fan or a MLS fan, this is going to be the channel for you. So please, if you do want to support this YouTube channel, like this video, subscribe to the channel, I would really appreciate it. So let's first talk about Marco Reus. And it says here, according to multiple sources, that Charlotte FC are in active talks to sign Borussia Dortmund legend Marco Reus. Nothing is imminent, but Charlotte are pursuing hard, and talks have been ongoing for months. And here is going to be the key thing. Charlotte FC do have Reus's discovery rights, meaning they do have the priority to sign the player. Marco Reus cannot talk to anybody else within the MLS, only Charlotte FC. There are teams like the LA Galaxy, Salt Lake City, who are interested in the player, but they cannot talk to the player because again, Charlotte FC do have the rights to talk to him and no other club can interfere. In order for us to get an answer on whether Marco Reus will join Charlotte or the LA Galaxy or Salt Lake City is going to take place after the final of the Champions League, which does contain Borussia Dortmund and Real Madrid. Many have been questioning, what is this whole thing about discovery list? Why does this exist? What is the whole purpose of this? And why can't Marco Reus speak to anybody else? It makes no sense. And so let's talk about that. This discovery list that the MLS teams do build, just think of it like this. It's a discovery list that holds up to 7 players who are not currently playing in the MLS. These players can be from any league around the world, and these players are usually targeted by those MLS clubs because they do see that player as somebody valuable and can add a lot of things in the near future for their club. So when you are claiming discovery rights on a certain player, they are claiming the rights to negotiate with that player if he does decide to move to the MLS. So for example, Marco Reus, if he says, I want to go to the MLS, the only team that he can talk to is Charlotte FC. And in order for a MLS club to have the rights to only negotiate with that player and with nobody else, you have to pay a certain fee. And it's usually around the hundreds of thousands. Sources have claimed that Marco Reus would set a new record for the payment of the discovery rights, mainly because he's just simply that good. Right now, the world record is held by Paul Arriola, who had discovery rights that accumulated to $500,000. And that is when the Galaxy sold the Arriola rights to DC United. So most likely with Marco Reus, his discovery rights is going to be around 700,000, maybe even 800,000. Just think of discovery rights as dibs on a player. Charlotte FC have dibs on Marco Reus because they paid a fee. And I'm not going to lie, I myself do find this very weird because the fact that there is this rule within the MLS that does not allow a player to go to whatever club that they want to within the MLS is strange to me. But I also do understand why the MLS would create such thing, because it would prevent from clubs going through bidding wars. And usually when clubs do go through bidding wars, is never a good thing for the league. And so this discovery rights rule is an answer to that. I would also say that maybe this does help the smaller teams in the MLS, because usually when a European player, whether it's Antoine Griezmann, Memphis Depay, we can talk about Luis Suarez, we can talk about any player out there in Europe, when they choose a team in the MLS, it usually does come down to 3 different areas: LA, New York, and Miami. Just imagine Antoine Griezmann choosing DC United, for example. Do you really think someone like Antoine Griezmann would choose DC United? No, he would probably go to LA or Miami, maybe even New York. He's actually there as we speak. So for a team like Charlotte to have the discovery rights of Marco Reus, it does help them because the player would not be able to move to a team like LA, Miami, or New York. If the player says, I really don't want to go to Charlotte, I want to go to a team like Inter Miami or LAFC or LA Galaxy or the New York Red Bulls or New York FC, then that would mean that Charlotte would have to sell his discovery rights to one of those teams, and those teams have to pay Charlotte a compensation fee, which again is going to be around $800,000 or $700,000. I guess you can say it's the MLS saying, we're sorry that you have to be such a small team, we're sorry that your club is not attractive enough, your location and everything, here's going to be a compensation that will help you because you lost a player. Because at the end of the day, when these clubs are made, like Charlotte, like DC United, maybe we can even say Salt Lake City or St. Louis, it's not their fault that their location is not so hot. Like, it's out of their control. They can only do so much to make their clubs very attractive for the Europeans to come to. And that is why the MLS are basically saying, here's going to be this money to offset this disappointment that you do have with the player, because he simply just wants to go somewhere else. But here's going to be the catch though. When I do talk about Marco Reus, I don't necessarily believe that he's a player that would want to go to the high profile type of clubs, because I remember within these past 8 to 10 years, he had multiple opportunities to go to PSG, Real Madrid, maybe even FC Barcelona to get more fame, to get more money, but he continued to choose Dortmund, even though Dortmund was not the hottest team in Europe. So could he carry the exact same agenda and attitude at the MLS and say, I don't have to go to the hottest team, I just want to go to a team where it does feel right? That could be a possibility. So we'll see how this whole transfer saga does evolve. Now moving on towards San Diego FC, because they are scouting so many players, it's not even funny. Like, we're not even going to be talking about Sergio Ramos yet. I want to simply focus on Chucky Lozano and Kevin De Bruyne, because I think that when you invite these two players to bolster your attack, of course San Diego FC are going to be having a great debut season. You just have to surround these two players with a great squad. So it has been said that the deal for San Diego FC is to sign Chucky Lozano for around 12 million euros. Everything is basically agreed. They're going to be signing a player that has just won the league with PSV and also won the league in the previous year in Serie A with Napoli. That is the type of striker San Diego FC are going to be signing. This deal is not only going to make him one of the biggest marquee signings of the next season, but he will be placed as one of the highest paid players in the league. He's only going to be surpassed by Messi and Lorenzo. His salary is also going to be surpassing the other Mexican stars that did play in the league, such as Javier Hernandez, aka Chicharito, Hector Herrera, and Carlos Vela. So Chucky Lozano will be going to the MLS breaking records. It's strange to me though how they're able to make a decision to sign this player even though they don't have a sporting director. I mean, they were trying to get Carlos Aviña, but it did not end up working out. It fell through, and now they're back to the drawing board in search of a new sporting director. Now, I know that there has been a lot of heat on this whole topic. Many have said, okay, why does Chucky Lozano want to go to a team like San Diego FC and go to the MLS at 28 years old? He's too young. The fact that he's going there at that age and not even reaching 30 years old, he's trying to say that he's finished and that he just wants to relax and that he's never going to get called up to the Mexican national team ever again. I would say false. I think that he can still give a lot to the Mexican national team, and I especially do see him in the 2026 World Cup, because if you look at the previous examples of, let's just say for example, Jonathan Dos Santos, who was in the 2018 World Cup, during that time he did play for the LA Galaxy. I don't think that the league that you play in is that important as long as you continue to provide great results within that league. I mean, if you're in the MLS and you are scoring 2 goals per season, of course maybe the national team might not call you up, but if you're there and people see you as a superstar and you're killing it and you're scoring 15 to 20 goals per season, of course the national team will consider you. Just because Messi is in the MLS does not mean that the Argentinian national team are not going to be calling up Messi. He's still going to go to the Copa America. He's still going to go probably to the next World Cup in 2026. So to me, I don't see this as the end of his career for Chucky Lozano. It's not going to happen. I think that he will come to San Diego FC, really kill it, really show that he is one of the best strikers in the league, and at the same time represent the Mexican national team. Moving on towards Kevin De Bruyne, there was only a conversation that was held between the camp of Kevin De Bruyne and San Diego FC. Nothing really advanced yet, and we don't necessarily know whether San Diego FC do have the discovery rights to Kevin De Bruyne, but it does seem like if Kevin De Bruyne were to move to the MLS, San Diego could be one of his biggest options. Now keep in mind, San Diego FC could have tough competition in this upcoming summer. First of all, we don't even know if De Bruyne is going to be continuing at Man City. He still has 1 more year left in his contract, and so he still needs to make his decision. Most likely, his decision will be made right after the match between City and Manchester United for the FA Cup final. Second point, Saudi Arabia really does love Kevin De Bruyne. Last summer, Saudi Arabia offered him 70 million euros per year. How in the world is the MLS going to compete against that? Like, really tell me. Saudi Arabia also wanted Bernardo Silva, but both of them said no, even though they were approached with the exact same money offer. So clearly, someone like Kevin De Bruyne does not really value money a lot. I think that what he is looking for is for more sporting success. I don't necessarily believe that City is going to want to renew Kevin De Bruyne for another 2 or 3 years. They're probably going to want to let him go before he does end up being free in the summer of 2025. City rarely do offer veteran players long-term contracts, which ultimately makes me believe that yes, it's either going to be San Diego FC or Saudi Arabia. And so usually big stars like Kevin De Bruyne, they're often linked with teams like LAFC, LA Galaxy, Inter Miami, maybe even New York City FC. But if you really think about it, a team like San Diego, knowing their location also, is a very desirable one. I would say it could really work. Also keep in mind that if there is an agreement between these two parties, the transfer will not happen until January 2025, because San Diego FC is still a very very new team. So that is going to be wrapping up today's American Dynasty YouTube video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.